District Director. I just want to get started with a few housekeeping items. I know we still have folks that are coming into the overfill room, but if you need any water, there's a water fountain over in this hallway, as well as restrooms. There's also a couple restrooms on this side, so feel free to use that at any point during the evening. As you are coming in, you did get these question cards. We'll be using these to collate them by topics to get as many questions in and as many topics in as possible. I will be sorting out these questions by topic and asking 3 constituents at a time to come up to this podium here in the middle. We'll be prioritizing questions that are coming in from 24th Congressional District constituents. We did have a number of signups from outside of the district, but we will be prioritizing those. If we are not able to get to your question this evening, we will be responding via email or phone, so very important to put your contact information on these sheets. If you do need a card, go ahead and raise your hand. Annalise in the back here has some extra cards, and she can also collect them from you. And just one moment, Joe. So, as I said, we were going to be collecting the cards, collating them. I'll call 3 people up at a time. If you could line up right here at the microphone, and the congressman will be able to answer your question. With that, we're going to get started with a welcome from your mayor, Jeanette Sanchez-Palacio.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Jeanette Sanchez-Palacios, the mayor for the city of Ventura, and I'm happy to be here tonight. Congressman Carbajal has dedicated his career to public service. He began his service in the United States Marine Corps, later became a Santa Barbara County supervisor, and now is in his 4th term representing our region in Congress. And just last week, I had the privilege of traveling to alongside city management team and fellow council members as part of the National League of Cities Congressional City Conference, which celebrated its 100th year. And while we were there, we were able to meet with federal leaders like Congressman Carbajal, just to talk about the key priorities in our city, from housing and transportation to emergency preparedness, and most importantly, securing water for the future. Congressman Carbajal continues to deliver results for our region. He's been a strong advocate for environmental protection, coastal preservation, and continues to lead efforts to improve wildfire response. Congressman Carbajal and his team have always been willing to listen, engage, and have a meaningful conversation about the needs here in Ventura. Their accessibility and willingness to collaborate has shown true dedication to the people that they serve. And we are grateful for his ongoing support here in Advocacy. So with that, I would also like to recognize, I believe we have our Deputy Mayor, Doug Coulter, here, as well as our City Manager, Bill Ayu. And please help me welcome Congressmember Salud Carbajal.
Good evening, everyone. How you all doing this evening? First, we're going to get to. First, I want to thank Mayor Sanchez-Palacios for that warm introduction, and thank you to all of you for taking time from your busy schedules to be here to express yourselves, good or bad, no matter what it is, but to be civically engaged for the future of our country, the Central Coast, and California. Thank you all for being here. My phones in my office, both here in the Central Coast and in DC, have been ringing off the hook. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't need to tell you that we're living in perilous times. Now more than ever, we know that elections have consequences. We have seen a flurry of executive orders and actions by this new administration that go against pretty much everything that we believe in here on the Central Coast. Like that. Absolutely. Including freezing millions of dollars of assistance for our region, pursuing trade wars that will only raise our costs, and basically provide a tax on all Americans, and issuing decrees that are plainly illegal and in many cases unconstitutional. For those that do not know me, my first year in Congress was 2017, 8 years ago, when Donald Trump was first elected. I've learned how to translate between what is real and what is rhetoric and just outright lies. This time around, I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about Greenland, the Gulf of America. While I'm definitely concerned about it, his supposed plans to turn Panama and Gaza into American colonies with American troops is ridiculous. This is not going to happen. And a lot of what he says is being used to distract, to get us all to react to petty little stupid things on a daily basis, instead of focusing on the serious actions that he's taking to undermine our democracy and our way of life in the United States. So here is what I am doing about it. First, while in the minority, we are still working on legislation. We have a slim majority in the House, and they have demonstrated to a great extent that they can't really govern. We also know that we still have, although many of us were disappointed in what the United States Senate did, we almost had a unanimous Democrat caucus in the House that voted against the CR. I'm working with my colleagues every day that I'm in Washington to draft bills to make it crystal clear where our checks and balances are. No, we cannot allow an unelected billionaire and his cronies have backdoor access to your personal data. So we wrote a bill to codify what the court, thankfully, has already ruled and blocked. We don't want to see our communities living in fear, as President Trump says that schools, churches, and food banks are not places for ICE to operate. So we wrote a bill to stop that too, but thank God the courts have been the backstop. We do not want to see billions in rental assistance for veterans benefits, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Meals on Wheels, or any other assistance erased by executive order. So we are reassuring our power, or reasserting our power of the purse to protect those benefits for you and the Central Coast. Despite the negative environment we are in, I will also continue to introduce legislation that is of high importance to the Central Coast, including first-time homebuyer and broader housing opportunities legislation, the Central Coast Heritage Protection Act, offshore wind development off our coast, Child Care Availability and Affordability Act, Child Care Workforce Act, and American Cargo for American Ships Act. That's just to name a few. The second part of our strategy is legal. I and my colleagues are going to support in any way that we can every lawsuit that enforces existing law and the Constitution and pushes back against its president and remind him that he is not pleading for favor, and that we will not 146 legal cases have been filed against this administration's policies since Inauguration Day. These cases have already halted some of the most egregious orders, including orders halting a federal funding freeze, blocking of grants, and requiring federal workers who were fired most back to work. And lastly, I am not taking my eye off of the number one legislative priority that we heard on before and during this last election, and why we might be where we're at today. Lowering our cost of living for everyone. We have 4 years to wait on the cost of living concerns like housing. We don't have 4 years to wait. We don't have 4 years to wait. On the cost of living concerns like housing, groceries, childcare, healthcare, and energy prices. But this strategy cannot happen just in Congress. We need all of you to be engaged as you are today, to speak out and to help highlight how our communities are affected and impacted. We have done that with big federal funding freezes. We did that to get the president to retreat on declaring new trade wars that would raise your cost of living. The courts are very clear that birthright citizenship is non-negotiable. And if you do otherwise, it will be non-constitutional. Some folks in the White House might actually have to leave as president. A reminder from 8 years ago, when we found ourselves in a similar circumstance. We all spoke out against Donald Trump's #1 goal. What was that? Repealing the Affordable Care Act. And we won. With that, let's get your questions. Erica, can you call the first question, please?
Congressman. First questions tonight come from Jean Thurston, Wayne Barr, and Stephen Park.
The mic, please.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Our chief executive continues to demonstrate a clear and has control of the Justice Department. On our voices, stop him from becoming solitary. Yeah! That is the most important question of the night. If we had control of the House, maybe even the Senate, we could repeat what we did in the past. But because we don't, impeachment is out of the question. So we have the courts to move their decisions forward. They have a lot more tools that they can also compel. But at the end of the day, it is going to be the American people who need to speak out in courthouses, in capitals, in Washington, on the streets. That's what we're going to need. That's what's going to help us get deterrence on that type of behavior.
That's not a good enough answer.
I agree with you. You being out here, all of us marching, all of us stepping up, that's what we need. What answer do you want me to give you? I want you to give that some thought. I just want to give that some thought. I agree with you. Next question.
I
think that basically everybody really wants to know what besides postcards and protesting can we do?
Yeah!
In particular, how can we support you? I mean, I'm starting to hear murmurs about a new constitutional convention. I'm hearing about, do we have to fly to DC and make human chains around the buildings and get arrested, and everything we do on the Vietnam protest, is that where we really need to go?
Well, you're raising some very important strategies that need to be considered. That is the bottom line. This is the environment we're in. I wish I had all the magic answers for you. I'm as frustrated as all of you. Absolutely. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep letting me know what your thoughts are, because it allows me to have the moral clarity and authority to go back and advocate on our behalf. We in Congress also need to step it up. We need to be on the stairs of the Capitol. We are doing that, but we need to do even more. So let's get moving. All of the above.
We have Felina Macy, Armando Ramirez, and Stephen Thurston Keller. Come up.
Did you say your name? Just make sure I...
Jean Thurston Keller, and I'm a veteran, and I'm also a federal worker.
Thank you for your service, Steve. I'm also a veteran.
Thank you for yours, I'm aware, very aware. How will you stop the federal worker purge that is disproportionately affecting veterans in our country?
Earlier I mentioned legislation, courts, litigation, marching, speaking out on the House floor, in our hearings, doing oversight, everything that we can do. Absolutely everything. And we need to do more. All of us need to do more. I will remind you that Congress is us, and we are Congress. And so if you're looking for someone to fix it, for someone to get certain results, and you're looking at just Congress, you're missing the picture. It's all of us, and we all got to do it together. Thank you, Chief.
Hello there, and thanks for being here. My name is Kalena. I'm one of the senior citizens that's dealing with the stress and agony every day of thinking I'm going to be able to survive on my Social Security and Medicare. Since millions of Californians are facing the same thing, is there anyone at the state level that's researching and or planning possible solutions that will help senior citizens in our situation should it go away? And what are the things that are being looked at, if anything?
Thank you. Well, first of all, we're not going to let it go away. Social Security is your money. It's our money. You paid into that. That is not something they can willy-willy raid. And we're going to make sure that they can't do that. But at the same time, I think states are looking at any and all protections. As you guys might not be aware of, the people who have standing to sue in the courts are attorney generals, nonprofits, and other individuals. Many of you might not be aware, because I was not aware. Members of Congress, individually and as a group, we don't have the standing to sue in the courts. Were you aware of that? So we have to support and work with all of you, attorney generals, nonprofits, local governments, states that are suing right now. That's why it's a collective effort. And I think every state is doing what they can to backstop the games and the silliness that this administration is embarking on. So everybody's doing it together.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Salud. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Salud, you've been a representative in Congress since 2017, and I know that you've developed relationships with other congresspersons on the other side of the aisle, those who've been in Congress for a while. Now, something we don't see in the news is these people are these GOPs are posting or have posted or attempted to host similar meetings like this with tremendous feedback, negative feedback. I believe that you may have had some conversations with some of your colleagues across the aisle that we don't see it. It's important that the House and the Senate gets flipped in the midterm elections. Are they running scared from your perspective? Are they saying, look, I know I've got to serve the orange man, but this is what's going on? What are you hearing from your colleagues?
I think you hit the nail on the head. There are a number of folks across the aisle that I have been able to build relationships over the years, and with few exceptions, almost none of them are speaking up. They're scared of Elon Musk and his money that would pour into their districts for a primary, as if being a member of Congress is the most important thing. Fighting for our democracy is the most important thing. That are spoken out, but the majority are silent. They're scared of the orange gentleman you just spoke about, who is making calls to a number of these people. That's what transpired during the continuing resolution that just passed. He was calling individuals and pressuring them into voting. So it's alarming and disappointing, to say the least, that we are not seeing people speak out that at times have been rational. And we're not seeing that right now. And it's mind-blowing.
Thank you. So if I used the term gentleman, I misspoke.
I'd like to call Kathy Bremer, Myra Page, and Sarah Brushers.
Representative Carbajal, I'm Stephen Thurston Keller. I'm a retired U.S. Army veteran, combat tours in Africa and Iraq.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I want to bring a disturbing development that you may not know about, but within the DOD, there has been a lot of rumors now going on, and they're gaining a lot of traction, that the current administration is planning on changing the DOD oath of enlistment from support and defend the Constitution of the United States to a personal loyalty oath to the current administration by name.
That would be ridiculous.
It would be ridiculous, but it was also done in the 1930s during the Weimar Republic, and before it became Nazi Germany. Hitler did the same thing. And right now, a lot of people in the DOD are actually scared that this is going to happen. I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you for informing me of that. I will definitely go back and start looking into this and see if there's any credence to that. But thank you.
It's already there. It's already there. That's enough for there.
Hey, one second. Guys, let me just say something for those of you that are yelling on occasion. Okay, we're all here for the same thing. We share the same values for the most part. If we're so pessimistic under this terrible predicament, then what are we doing here? We're here because we want to hear each other out. We want to strategize. I want to hear from you how I can be more effective. But if you're so pessimistic, don't bring the rest of us down. We're here to fight. We're going to continue going forward. And don't be so darn pessimistic. Don't be so pessimistic. There's a brighter future tomorrow. We need to continue that fight. Myra?
Hi, Congressman.
Hi. Let me take a deep breath. Hi, Myra.
Hi, Congressman.
Welcome.
Oh, sorry. Congressman, would you, based on what happened last Friday, advocate for Schumer to step down as minority leader? And put in somebody much stronger and more deliberate, who doesn't flip-flop within 4 hours of a decision that he already made?
Myra, that's a decision, as you know, outside the House of Representatives. That's in the Senate. And certainly, I think many of us were disappointed in the actions and the decisions that were made. Those are going to continue to be discussions to be had in Washington. I appreciate you raising that. We have 2 U.S. senators who you could pose that question
I
to,
have.
and you should.
I have. Has Hakeem Jeffries made any comment about what happened on Friday?
No.
I think many of us were very disappointed. I think he did express his disappointment in writing as well, so I can speak from certainty that he did. But again, guys, we should be pressing ourselves to also do more and do better. But let's not get caught up with the distraction. The distraction, the people that are doing the damage are the people we need to focus on right now. So, thank you. Thank you.
Kathy Bremer.
Hi, Kathy.
This administration or regime is attacking our national parks, monuments, and public lands. What can we do to save our California parks, monuments, and public lands?
We're going to continue the same thing. You're going to hear a little bit of a broken record today, but you're going to continue to see us fight. I will tell you, don't forget, Congress is you and you're us. We've seen a lot of protests and a lot of demonstrations at our parks. It's time to get out there. Again, and I don't mean to be patronizing by any means, but just as we need to do more in Congress, our citizens need to do more. And let's keep doing it together. Let's go to our parks. Let's say, no, we're not going to put up with this crap.
Well, there was a wonderful demonstration at Channel Islands Visitors.
Yes, yes. Thank you all who showed up. Thank you.
We need to do it again because I hear the lease is not going to be renewed on the visitor center.
Also, that I hear that the NOAA offices are going to be closed, 2 out of the 3 in California. It is despicable what's going on.
Okay, yeah, we have a lot to do. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
They call up Kevin Mao, Diana Dominguez, and Judith Haver.
Can you repeat your name as you come up, so?
Sure. My name is Sarah Brashears, and there's so many things I'm so ticked off about it.
Sarah, join the club.
Yes. So I have to speak out. I've been a librarian for 21 years. But on March 14th, President Trump issued an executive order attempting to dismantle the Institute of Museum and Library Services. And so while this may seem not that important compared to so many of the other infringements on our democracy, it is. I mean, we are serving some of the most underserved populations. We provide services to elderly folks. We bring materials to them to help them. Like technology, not everybody can afford technology. And I'm concerned, I'm worried for those folks that don't have a voice, that don't have money, the disabled. Literacy rates are plummeting. We all know one of the best ways to increase that is to create a love of reading. So I want to know, what can we do? What can you do? What can I do to fight this?
Well, step 1 is being here, because what you're just telling me goes on the list of things that I need to be aware of. They are flooding what they call flood the zone with all this crap. And trying to sift through the distraction and the Greenland comments and the Gulf of America crap. We need to keep our eye on the ball on all these things. And by you being here today and raising that to my attention is step 1. Because it helps me understand a lot of these issues that you're concerned about, that you're hearing about, so that I could go back and raise them and fight. So thank you.
You're welcome. One more thing, it's just 0.003 of the budget. So
My name is Diana Dominguez. I'm a senior Latina, and my question has to do with deportations. Trump has ignored the federal court on 2 deportations. Holman said that the courts can't stop the deportations. This is a constitutional crisis. Is there anything Congress can do?
Let me tell you, if I could elaborate on this just a little bit. Part of this is my own observation and understanding. Initially, well, first of all, he ran on this. You all remember.
Oh, yeah.
He ran, and I think he wanted to show his bravado. So he did something that not too many people can argue. I can't argue. You in here probably wouldn't argue either. He was going after individuals who had serious criminal records, even though now we know that they're going after people with lower offenses. But initially it was hard to argue against that. And what they were doing is they were identifying these individuals, going to their homes, and in arresting these individuals with serious criminal backgrounds, they would net everyone in the home. Or they would follow somebody to a market, and they would net as many people as they could get in the vicinity. So by default, they turned into mini raids. You notice that it's also died down for the time being. Let me finish. He was doing this to, I think, demonstrate that he was fulfilling his promise. There's probably going to be another wave. We don't know if it's still going after so-called criminals or starting to do more general raids. No doubt he's probably going to do some to show that he's fulfilling his promise and his bravado. But you ask me, what can we do? Congress, even though we're in the minority, still has control of the purse. And to be able to do this in a more extensive way, we're not talking 500,000, 1 million people that he probably is going to do damage to, but to do it to 12 million, he's going to need close to $1 trillion. They're right now trying to find money to cut from anything and everything to give $4.5 trillion in cuts to give tax breaks to the billionaires and the wealthiest people in our country. They're not going to have the money. Will he continue to inflict pain and do some deportations? Yes. Will it be as massive as he boasted about? I don't believe so. But the bottom line is that he has some latitude to do that. But not as much as he claims he is.
But he's not even paying attention to the courts. That's the thing.
Well,
he's not paying attention to the courts. Now what?
Remember what I said earlier? Actually, he's listening to a significant extent, but not all. He's back, slow walking certain things. Recently, there were 2 court cases regarding some planes that were going to Venezuela and another few deportations. And those are the ones that it's in the court right now being worked out because he didn't listen to the courts. Where the courts have rendered decisions, there is a refiling, a follow-up to compel him to listen. And while he hasn't done so in some cases, to a great extent, he has followed. But like I said earlier, the number one issue to look for is when he completely writes off the courts. Then it's a different ballgame for us at a higher level. Not just members of Congress, but all of you. We all do it together.
Then how do you fight it? Then what? Then what?
You're asking the question to myself that I think you know the answer to. Then what? It means everybody mobilizing, everybody stepping up, everybody protesting. Some of us said to defend the Constitution, foreign or domestic. And if we have individuals that are not listening to the rule of law, then that's call to everybody to step up. I hear you. I hear you.
If you really care about these people, you would stress on them the importance of learning English, becoming American citizens.
Thank you. Thank you. You'll get a chance to ask a question. Don't be disruptive. Be respectful to the rest of the people that are here. I'm not going to throw you up, but if you want a little bit of me time with me, you and I can talk afterwards. You and me. You and me. You and me. Yes.
All right. Hi, Congressman. My name is Kevin Lowell, and I'm from Goleta. My question has to do with the Ukraine situation. With Ukraine, we know that sort of the bigger context here is that Trump has repudiated NATO. He's turned his back on our allies for so many decades, and he's essentially throwing Ukraine to the wolves with Putin and the Russians. And my question has to do how we can ensure the security and stability of Ukraine. And the fear, of course, is that if we fail to do that, it's really creating chaos around the globe in terms of America as a credible and trustworthy ally, no matter where we turn. And to that extent, we can expect China to take Taiwan and so forth. I mean, I just see sort of the world order falling apart.
Well, and I think you're right to characterize it that way. I will tell you that this president has done a lot to undo the world order as we see it. But keep in mind, again, just because you're a member of Congress, we don't know it all. Right? I'm the first to tell you that. And one of the things that I have become very aware is that the President of the United States, whoever he or she is, and she hopefully sooner rather than later, has lots of discretion when it comes to our foreign policy. Certainly we have control of the purse, how much we fund to support Ukraine, but beyond the law and what we appropriate, the President has a lot of sway in how he conducts our foreign policy. The Congress did pass a law in the previous 2 Congresses that stipulated the threshold and the steps that he needed to take to withdraw from NATO. He can't just do it on his own. We passed legislation, bipartisan legislation, outlining that no president could withdraw us from NATO without coming before Congress. Now, some of you might argue, well, we're in the minority right now, but there's still the filibuster, and that would save us for the time being. But it doesn't give comfort to the circumstance that we're in today, that he has sweetened up to Putin instead of Mr. Zelensky, that it's obvious that him and the vice president somehow are beholden to Mr. Putin. So,
my only follow-up is just a comment about treaties. Congress has to ratify treaties. I mean, so you can't just, through the executive branch, nullify treaties.
Well, at least for NATO, we passed that legislation, but the president does have a great sway in our foreign policy, regrettably.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If we could have Mary Ann Buhner, Francine Castanon, and Grace Bernard.
Hi, I'm Judy Howard, and the last 4 years we've spent trying to take Trump to trial. We've wasted time and energy and money and aggravation trying to get him out of here. It's time he was arrested for treason. Protest is the way. This man has committed and keeps committing treason, and we have a right to law enforcement and get that man out of here.
Thank you, Judy. I think that was more of a rhetorical question. But yes, thank you for raising that. And do know that the process to do that is impeachment, but the way the composition of the Congress is now, that is unlikely to happen in the near term.
Hi, I'm Marianne Beefener from Midtown Ventura here, and tonight I want to ask about or talk about the sonic boom mitigation on the Falcon launch program at Vandenberg, going from 6 to 36 to 50 to 100 and 120 launches. So actually, if there was a launch tonight, it would not be standing under this because of the effect that it has here. So the environmental impact statement, there were written public comments on January 27th, and many of the comments probably included mitigation suggestions, but they have not been made public yet. And it would be good to see those in advance of the EIS report coming out this spring, because this will all be settled by fall. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will take that back because they are finishing the environmental review on going from 50 to 100. And what some people have brought up to me is concern that out of all the launches that happen, 20% plus or minus a few are for national security DoD. The others are for commercial purposes.
Correct.
And while we also, on some hand, want to allow some of those to obviously go forth, because how many of you have a cell phone in here? How many of you use GPS? The technology that is put up in space, and this part of that, helps our everyday way of life. But that doesn't mean that we don't try to achieve a balance of what those booms and the impacts they're having on our communities. So right now, the environmental impact NEPA report is moving forward to see if more launches will be made available. Thank you for that information. You should be aware that on the National Defense Authorization Act that just passed, I got the department to, for the first time, acknowledge that there's an impact from sonic booms and to embark on a study to see what the damage and impact is on our communities.
Hello, I'm Grace from Santa Barbara County. I'm speaking to you tonight as a member of the Tri-Counties Palestine Solidarity Network, and as well as several other Palestinian advocate groups. I first want to thank you for signing the letter in support of releasing Mahmoud Khalil. His arrest was made as an attempt to undermine and expose the American people and all immigrants in America's First Amendment right to protest and free speech. And most importantly, I came here tonight on behalf of many to request your public support of House Joint Resolutions 68 and 71 by Representatives Pramila Jayapal and Rashiva Tlaib. These resolutions seek congressional disapproval of proposed foreign military sales to Israel, which reflects the growing concern over the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Many of us in previous town halls, emails, and meetings have communicated to you and your staff the gravity of what Israel is doing to the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank, and requested that you end your support of military sales to Israel and for them to carry out the genocide on Palestinians. So my question to you is, will you vote in support of these two House Joint Resolutions 60 and 71? And again, what will you do to continue to protect the rights and freedoms of the American people as well as immigrants here in America? Thank you.
I have always stood to make sure that we are doing everything possible to protect our immigrants here in our country, and will continue to advocate. My goal in the Middle East has been to try to find that balance, to achieve a two-state solution where Israel can live in solidarity with their independence as well as the Palestinian people. That's our end goal. The Gaza war was unfortunate, but it was started by some terrorists.
The terrorists being
this is not going to be a dialogue. You asked me my question, I'm going to answer it. And Israel had the right to defend itself. And I was supportive of that. But at the end of the day, I also pressed Israel to make sure that they were making more availability of humanitarian aid for those that were being caught in the crossfire.
It did nothing.
And so I wish the Middle East was simple, but my goal is to create an environment where we could have a two-state solution, where Palestinians and Israelis could live side by side as independent states and have peace and a better future in the future.
So you exactly, I thank you for your answer, but you didn't say whether you will vote in support of those House resolutions.
Let me look at these resolutions, but it all depends, the devil's in the details. I gotta look at them.
Understood, thank you.
We could have Timothy Teague, Patty Mock, and Christopher Brown.
Hello, Congressman. Good
Hi,
to
how are
see
you?
you.
Good to see you. Remind me your name?
Francine Castellon.
Francine, good to see you again.
So I'm here as an employee of the Department of Veteran Affairs. I am the only certified in Division 22. I cover 5 counties. So I cover LA County from Long Beach to Lancaster and all of LA County, Kern County, Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo. That is what the West LA VA covers. Just so you know. And it's some fun times. The doctor who recently operated on my arm was doged. My car guy who manages all of the cars in our area, doged. Doctors and social workers, every day we open our laptop and it's Squid Games level 3. Is it going to work today? And the question is, because, Agent Orange is just wreaking havoc and chaos everywhere. And we, just so you know, the Department of Veteran Affairs still has to answer that damn email of what did I do last week. We are still having to answer it, despite other agencies not having to answer it.
Tell them you went to the floor.
You don't even want to know what I put on those emails. But those of us employees that have been vocal, I recently got a notice that they are reducing my service connect. I'm also denied any reasonable accommodations for telework. And you know me, those of you who know me in the room, I'm fine with it. I will not deny them the pleasure of my personality and charming sarcasm, even if I'm fired. As a veteran, I will still be there. But my question is, and what everybody wants to know, is how his minion Musk is able to access records. So I had to go through a lot of security and I had to go through a lot of training to be able to access veteran records. So I work on the healthcare side, for those of you who don't know, and then there's the business administration. Business administration is where benefits come from, school benefits, veterans register when they get out. That's one side. I'm on the healthcare side, so I deal with homelessness, mental health, healthcare, stuff like that. All of these clinics you see out here, Ventura, Santa Maria, Santa Barbara, San Luis, all from the healthcare side. So the question is, how is Minion Musk and his trolls breaking into these offices and accessing computers that I have to do 3-4 different levels of things just to get in to send an email to tell them where to F off to. These guys are able to do it and get in. And that's the question I think most people are upset about with all of Congress, is how are they getting in and getting it done? It's not that they're doing it. We expected to have it. How are they doing it at this level?
Thank you, Francine. Well, first of all, thank you for your service.
Go Army.
I was in the Marine Corps, but we still love you. Thank you for your questions and for letting us know what's happening. This administration has fired a lot of individuals from the VA, many of which are veterans.
Yep.
Many of which are implementing the PACT Act,
Yep. And the
which
more
is
disabled they are.
providing services and review of applications for those that were exposed to Agent Orange and other toxic environments. And the reason this billionaire is doing what he's doing is because the administration gave him the keys. I mean, it's that simple. And the only thing that's thwarting him from time to time is the courts. The courts have pushed back and stopped them from having access to certain databases. I'm not sure if it's been widespread throughout the whole government, but I think they're still doing it in some cases. And I'm alarmed to learn what they're doing to you. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. Make sure my staff get your name and address, and I'll go back and fight for you. Thank you.
I'm already swinging, but yeah, just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Timothy Teague, and I recently received a reply from your office responding to a letter where I expressed my concern for our democracy under Trump, Musk, and their minions. You expressed your views on many of the crises facing our country, and I thank you for that. I'd like to mention one recent trend that causes me much concern: the erasure and rewriting of our national history. This includes the National Park Service removing from our beautiful LGBTQ rainbow the T and the Q on their Stonewall National Monument website. As ABC News reported, it was thanks to the leadership of transgender women who stood up and stood out and refused to be put into a corner that modern LGBTQ equality movement exists. Another recent erasure is a remarkably long list of words and phrases banned by Trump, including climate change. And finally, reports that Arlington National Cemetery has begun wiping from its website histories highlighting Black, Hispanic, and women veterans. The erasure of our history will cause long-ranging issues, including setting a new normal of what is true for upcoming generations. Can you please comment on this rewriting of our American story?
I'm as appalled as you. It's ridiculous. Anything to do with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, anything to do with celebrating women, anything to do with resiliency, climate change, they're trying to do this everywhere. And they're trying to send directives to universities, to governments, saying if you have this anywhere in your website, in your mission, you're not going to be eligible for certain funding. They're outright doing this. And we're doing everything to stop it, but it's going to require everybody speaking out and the courts. And the courts. So let's just keep doing what we're doing, ramp it up, and keep speaking out against this bullshit.
We have time for just a couple more questions. I'd like to bring up Turn Conley.
Hello, Congressman Carbajal. I wanted to thank you for all the hard work that you do. My name is Patty Ma. I'm a recently retired registered nurse. I've worked through all the COVID diseases. I've seen a lot of people suffer, and I don't want to go through this administration again for another 4 years. I've always been trained as a nurse to present a problem, but also to give a solution or a suggestion for a solution. My solution, or my question is this: California spends a lot of money. It gives a lot of money to federal taxes. Yeah. We support a lot of the red states and their welfare and their poor programs and charities. I've learned in this administration that money talks, and it seems to be the only language they understand. So I have a question. Because California does spend and give to the federal government a lot of taxes, is there anything in Congress that says we can withhold and put it in our taxes? So that every one of us is paying our taxes and not withholding it.
But here's the thing.
And since the felon said that we would not be getting a lot of help, I promise you this, he said, for the fire victims of the Palisades, of the Eaton and Altadena. We would be the last on the list. That maybe we can give some of our taxes to the people in California who are.
Thank you, Patty. That's a great question for our governor and our state legislature, which I will pass on that I heard in my town hall meeting. I don't know what the federal law is on superseding, and we are a nation, and what would stop that or not, but certainly that's a question to pose to our governor and state legislators. So thank you for raising it. And we are a donor state. We give to so many other states enough money to cover the budgets of so many other states many times over. And it is appalling that this president, for the first time ever, has attempted to condition funding for California's disaster aid. When we didn't condition aid for Florida, when they had all those hurricanes, and maybe they didn't build back at better building standards. We didn't penalize Texas when they didn't invest wisely in their grid system when they had that freeze, and they knowingly knew it wasn't the best system that they could have. We didn't penalize and condition their funding. So no, we're not going to take it sitting down when they're trying to shortchange the state of California and our residents.
Condition the federal aid for the schools when they wouldn't agree to the transgender bathrooms. The Biden administration did. So just as a side note, that has been done before. But I digress. Thank you for coming.
That was not disaster aid, though.
No, correct. It wasn't, but it was withholding federal aid when they didn't agree with the states. So it has been done before, just stating a precedent. So thank you for coming. I appreciate you taking your time. I have two questions, actually. The first pertaining to the tax increase that's going to take place in January. If for $4 trillion, if the current tax initiatives are not continued, the tax cuts. So I know everyone says that's for billionaires, it's to line, keep the rich people wealthy. However, it is a working class issue because it is no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and all those things are working people issues. So I'm curious if you're okay with that $4 trillion tax cut, first question. Second question, having to do with what? As a business owner, I have to reduce the size of my company when it's not producing. I have to have my business has to correlate with my cash flow and my input and output. So what waste, fraud, and abuse are you okay with eliminating?
Well, first of all, everybody's in favor of trying to find more efficient ways and to root out any fraud of the risk fraud. But don't use that as the reason to destroy our government. And I'm not going to vote for that $4.5 trillion giveaway to the wealthiest people in the country. When they did it last time, they gave 83%, not to working middle class families last time around. 83% of the tax cut went to the wealthiest individuals and corporations in our country. And they're going to try to do the same thing again. So it's really important to understand that.
I do understand that. Actually,
thank you very much.
Let me make one other point. The IRS data proved that the rich paid more over the last 6 years. You can take that with the IRS because it's proven.
Many of the billionaires did not pay much taxes.
They paid more over the last 6 years. Please look it up.
Well, we're not going to argue that.
I can appreciate you contacting me and letting me know if that's the case. As a constituent of yours, I would appreciate the answer. As a constituent of yours, I would appreciate the answer. If you could just look that up, I would appreciate that.
All right, Congressman, we have reached our time limit for this evening, but if we did not get to your question tonight, we will respond via email or phone if you provided your contact information. With that, Congressman, your closing remarks?
Thank you very much for coming, everyone. Thank you for speaking out. Thank you for being engaged. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call my office, 805-730-1710 in Ventura and Santa Barbara. My official website is carbajal.house.gov. Thank you. Keep fighting. Keep participating. We need to make sure that we save our democracy.